Jabari, the mother of all mistakes. Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city. Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Hope everybody's having a good Friday evening. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we here, we're rocking out. And of course, if you are watching, please, by all means, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's him again. Please share this link. We're shooting for 6,000 before year's end, and that could only be done if you guys out there, as my street team, getting the word out. And if you like how it goes down with BK, you can show your appreciation via PayPal. There should be pinned on top of the chat. Or if you'd like to be a monthly supporter of BK, you could join the Patreon. We get assortment of goodies to enhance your personal Bible study. And with that being said, I have a good friend to tag along on this little journey we're going to take today. He used to be known as Pianki. He might still be known in certain circles as that, but we know him as the infamous DMG. What's going on, sir?
Hey, salute. Appreciate you having me, bro. And yeah, some people still call me Pianki. It's all good.
Yes. And I see our good friend, Mr. Jose Francis, is in the building.
Shout out to Jose in the building. What you doing over here in BK side of town, Jose?
You here, that's why. You here. And of course, the topic we will be addressing today as well. So, but I am glad he's here. But and I'm glad you're here, DMG. And the reason why I have you here today is because, when I first started doing urban apologetics online, one of the first things I really focused on was the conscious community. And I just appreciate you because you came from this community, right? And you're over here now. You are a believer in Christ. So you have an insight that a lot of Christians just do not have. We can read the books and we can watch lectures and stuff like that, but you was a practitioner, right? You was a part of a shrine. So there's an insight that you have that I'm just never going to, so I definitely want you to chime in and give your 2 cents as we check out this particular video. And now what I would like to address right away is, why does BK even do this, right? And the reason why BK does this is because I believe that the gospel saves. I believe that humankind is at odds and in constant rebellion with its creator. But the good news is the creator, Yahweh, he came down as Jesus to not only to model what it means to be a follower of the Most High God, but also to sacrifice himself for atonement for the rebellion of mankind so that we could be back at our original identity, which is being imagers of God, the Imago Dei, the Solem of Yahweh. That this is why I do what I do. And if someone comes and tries to impede people's opportunity to receive this good news, I'm going to say something about it. Now, you might disagree of how I see that situation, but let me ask you this to the chat. If that's what I believe, right? And I have the ability to say something when I see somebody doing something that's going to hurt people's eternal salvation, and I remain silent, would you respect me? Would you respect me?
Absolutely not.
Right. So even if you disagree, you have to respect the fact that I'm living out what I believe. Okay, so that's why I do it. I have no issue with Kemet in itself. Kemet is an amazing place. The culture is so intricate and beautiful. Well, whether we're talking about the technology of different irrigation, how they utilize the Nile, right? So that when the rest of the world is starving, that's a fertile place, right? The architecture, the governance, right? The advancements in technology of all sorts and medicine and science. There's amazing stuff about Kemet, and in fact, some of the earliest believers of Christianity are the people of Kemet. So it's never about me poo-pooing on Kemet wholesale. That's not what we're trying to do here, right? It's when people try to wedge Kemet to keep people away from the gospel, I'm going to say something. So I just want to put that out there. So,
and if I may, I just want to add, like, so my issue, I'm with you on that, and I think too, me having been ensconced in that line of thinking or that tradition, whatever you want to term it. I know it's a lot of lies and a lot of half truths about Christianity that are used as tools and strategy to turn people away from Christianity, to keep those who have a closed mind to a closed-minded. And my thing is, just be truthful about it, be truthful about the history, and let the chips fall where they may. The cream gonna rise to the top. But it seems to be a disingenuous strategy for people who say they study history to come up with some of the things that they say about Christianity and how they try to superimpose white supremacy over Christianity. And I think it's important to dispel those lies as well, even to the point of involved with, when we talk about Kemet, this notion of plagiarism, copycatting, and all of that. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents to that.
No, that was great. In fact, that's a great segue, because the video that we'll be looking at, one of his major arguments is just that Christianity is a very watered down carbon copy of the original Kemetic belief system. And he goes by the name of Jabari Osase. He is a Kemetic priest. He has his own shrine, the Shrine of Ma'at. I've been to the shrine. We've talked once or twice, and I have nothing against him personally. And in fact, when he makes these arguments, I believe he's doing it not with malicious intent. I think he thinks he's doing what's best for Black and brown people, but I just happen to disagree. So when he comes and makes his arguments, and since he's making these arguments in a public forum, then, it's fair game for people such as myself to critique said arguments. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So with that being said, let me share my screen and let's look at, wait, am I doing this right? No, I'm not doing this right. All right, hold up. Okay, here we go. Righty. So let's look at this real quick.
On the left is often drawn or included in the Wiccan tradition. Son Jason Holmes says the one at the left is at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Oh, not quite. The one on the right is the one at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The one on the left is at the Brooklyn Museum. The one on the left is often called the Bird Lady. The Bird Lady. And there's no reason for anyone to call her a bird lady. She simply has a face that looks a little bit beakish. Both of them do. But I want you to notice that neither of these ladies have a very intricate face. They spent very little time on their face. Why? Is it because at this time in art, these the people who created these statues didn't know how to make a human face? No. Understand that the reason why these look this way, I would argue, is for a simpler and much more profound reason, because they are not celebrations of one woman, a woman that actually lives. They are the celebration of womanhood, of the divine feminine. So the face, when one has a face, usually a face is the way that you can distinguish one from the other. Isn't that how you do it when you see someone? You look at their face and say, hey, I see.
So he's saying that these individuals are representatives of the divine feminine. What say you, sir?
So I understand the sentiment, right? And I think there are some ancient goddesses that would not just outside of even Africa, but in Africa as well, that would kind of qualify for that type of motif. I don't think that these are amongst them.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
I haven't seen anything in what I've studied or been taught that would be the case, unless somebody gonna switch something up. So it's a little sketchy. I say that.
Okay, fair enough. And so he argues that this represents the divine feminine, but on his slide, he's saying that these two statuettes are representative of the oldest Kemetic goddesses, right? So let's see if the museums that house these statuettes agree with Jabari. Okay, so this is from the Brooklyn Museum, female figure, and this is the thing that's said about it. So DMG, can you be so kind as to read this real quick?
This is the Brooklyn Museum commemorating its 200th anniversary by spotlighting 200 standout objects in its encyclopedic collection. The dramatic terracotta female figure is one of the museum's oldest objects. Its levels of preservation is remarkable. Although a few examples of such figurines exist, this is the only one that is fully intact. The statuette was excavated in 1907, found in the tomb site of El Maria in southern Egypt by Henry de Morgan, who was working on behalf of the Brooklyn Museum. This woman's face is distinctive, and her emphasized nose accentuates the importance of breath. Her chest is bare and her arms are raised over her head, hands pointed inward in a pose of praise. Her arms might mimic the horns of cattle, important animals in early Egypt. Her abbreviated legs are joined together and painted white to represent a fine skirt. And then at the bottom it says, a true masterpiece of Egyptian art. The statue's subject is an enigma. Perhaps it represents a divinity or a mortal woman performing lost rituals.
So according to the Brooklyn Museum, are they saying that this particular statue is a goddess from ancient Kemet?
We can go even further and say they don't know what it represents.
Right. It's speculative, right? It's an enigma, right? She has her hands in a form of praise, perhaps. It's mimicking the horns of cattle, or she's performing a lost ritual, or she might be divine. No one knows. The museum does not know. Right?
Correct.
All right. So that's one. And then the other statuette, the figurine of a seated woman, is found at the Met. And if you could read this for us, sir.
This limestone figurine is the finest preserved of an unusual group of pre-dynastic statuettes. These seated women display beak-like noses and missing segment-sized arms. The hair, narrow waist, and wide lips are clearly shown to emphasize female sexuality. The light-colored surface created an ideal canvas for painted details, including jewelry and animal figures that scholars now believe are associated with a ritual activity. Her eyes are enhanced with green. What's that?
I think it's malachite.
Malachite, and her elaborate coffer was modeled separately using a mixture of plant matter and fats. She wears a series of necklaces in red and green beads and unusual beaded anklets.
Right. So DMG, is the Metropolitan Museum saying that this statuette is a goddess from ancient Kemet?
No, they seem to be saying it's a regular woman.
Right. So again, right? So Jabari knows where these statuettes are located. He mentions it on his live. He knows these are in museums. He never looked at the blurbs next to these statuettes that actually explains what they are. I find it hard to believe. You know.
And I'm not playing devil's advocate, but giving the brother a little rope.
Sure.
Perhaps he simply disagrees with what the museum and its scholars are saying about these figurines.
That's fair, but is he saying that though? He doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. Well, this is what the museum is saying. Well, what I'm saying is this.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So, and listen, he has every right to disagree with the museums. The museums don't necessarily have it all the way right all the time, but say that. Okay,
that's true.
So
that's true.
All right. So, and then he goes on to talk about how the oldest deities in the world are female. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not. So, what do you say about that statement? Do you believe, as a practitioner, as a former practitioner, is this true?
I wouldn't say it's as much of a reach as we think. The problem is, I think he would probably want to say that those deities are African, when if it's correct, they wouldn't be located in continental Africa. So either way, I mean, I get his point in saying that, but if it's not from the region that he's representing, then what difference would it make?
Right. And that's where it gets interesting, right? Because I'm going to assume that he means that some of these female deities would reside within, ancient Kemet.
Exactly.
Right? So now I'm not saying he's incorrect here about that, but that causes me to ponder certain things only because of how the ancients looked at these feminine deities. Now, this is from Gender Transformation and Death, a case study of coffins from the Ramesside period by Kathleen M. Cooney. DMG, if you could be so kind.
According to ancient texts, literate and educated Egyptians believed that creation and regeneration specifically belonged to the male gender. Men were thought to be responsible for offspring from a sexual union, not women. Egyptian mythologies dealing with rebirth after death were also highly masculinized. Zandi, 1992. In the ancient Egyptian mindset, only male divine beings such as Atum, Osiris, and Re had access to the powers of creation or resurrection. Goddesses were believed to be protective vessels. That's
Right.
from gender transformation and death, a case study of coffins from the Ramesside period, Egypt, Catherine M. Cooney, page 24, I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. And this is somebody, she's an Egyptologist, and she has been mentioned on multiple occasions within, various Sonneted YouTube channels. Like, they are aware. They are aware of her scholarship. So that's why it makes that statement awkward, because if the oldest ones in Egypt, let's say, are female, then when does the world become created? Because according to the ancient Egyptians, it was the male deities that were the created gods, not the females.
Right. And we know this because if we look at the myth of creation, it is not, I believe, Atum or Amun, depending on the period,
right,
rose from the primordial waters on a mound or on a hill.
Right. The waters of Noon. Right.
So, I'm not.
Right. Now, the goddesses help facilitate the creation, right? One particular goddess, I forgot her name, she assists one of the male deities in a manner of, let's just say, providing some hands-on experience to allow the male god to spew forth creation, right? So I'm like, that's kind of interesting, it's like, and we all know that within the conscious community, they like to, say the black woman is God, and there's this, this deification, but yet in the ancient texts, they weren't created God. In fact, if you want to traverse through the Duat in the underworld via the Prep M Heru, and you are a woman, you have to now become one of the created gods to get through. Now, once you get to paradise, you come back to your original gender, but to make it, you can't make it as a woman. You have to become one of these male gods.
Well, when you go through and I'm having a brain freeze, but when you go through the rituals to traverse through I can't remember what the actual trial is called, but when you get your
weighing of the heart, weighing of the
heart, your heart has to weigh less than a feather, etc. If you succeed, then you become one with a sword. So when you become one with the sword, do you keep your gender?
Not according to Kathleen Cooney, no. Well, at that moment, no, you can't, because you transform into a SAR.
Right. So, I don't know how that works. If you become one with a male deity, does your essence take over his, or does his take over yours?
Well, I think because they're the ones that are able to get to the other side, and you're, being a mere mortal, cannot. So you have to transform into that person.
Exactly. So, and if you transform it into that person or becoming one with that person, like I said, just common sense, your essence can't overcome this great deity. So his would overcome yours to allow you to get to the other side. So
absolutely. So that's problematic, right? Because if the oldest deities are female, then how do we get creation? Because according to ancient Kemet, it's not going to be through the goddess. So that's kind of a quandary he has there, So, but it is what it is. He goes on to say in the video that there is good scholarship that says that the city that we know as Paris today got its name because it was the temple of Ast. So it was once called Per Isis, right? Have you ever heard this before?
I've
BMG?
heard this plenty of times. Yep.
Have you held that position before? We put you on the spot.
You are putting me on the spot, but I will say this. I'll admit this. I held that position going off of the word of teachers like Jabari and others without having done any research of my own. I'll put it that way.
All right. Fair enough. So, when we look at the history of words, right, the etymology of words, we have the word Paris, capital of France. It's from the Gallo-Latin Litura Parasorum, in late Latin also Peraci, named for a fortified town of the Gaulish tribe of Pataci, who had a capital there, literally Patacian swamps. That's what the word Paris means. The tribal name is of unknown origin, but is traditionally derived from a Celtic parboat, perhaps related to Greek bardis or barge, hence the ship on the city's coat of arms. So when we look at how it developed and evolved through time, it has more to do with this Gaulish tribe than anything about ancient Ketub at all. Like, there is no connection there. It's just not. And what's interesting is very early on, this claim was refuted by Luis de Jucon from his encyclopedia from the 1800s. Right? He says, "Les autos que devrint le mont de Paracy de Paraises debutant un pure fiction," meaning the authors who derived the word Paracy from Paraises spout pure fiction.
Hold on, just a quick time out. Did you just speak French?
I try to sound it out. So I do not speak French. I'm
over here like, wait a minute. I didn't know BK was bilingual.
No. I am not bilingual. Far from it. I gave it a shot.
No, hey, you seem like you got it pretty.
I gave it a shot. I threw a Spanish accent on it and so let's see what happens.
No doubt. Seems like you got it pretty spot on though.
Yeah, so it's part of the Romance languages, right? Latin, Spanish, whatever. So anyway, but yeah, so here's this guy, this scholar, actually mid 1800s. He heard this claim. He's like, yeah, this is garbage. Like, this is not true. So this has been debunked, and this is a guy who wrote an encyclopedia. This is a scholar, and he's like, yeah, the guys who say this, they spout pure fiction. It has been debunked, right? So, and then, actually, let me stop this and let me get to the next clip. Talk to the people, DMG, while I get this situated.
Hey, family, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. My brother trying to get to 6,000 subs by the end of the year. It's only one way to do that. Is by y'all sharing and liking the video, getting that algorithm going. So salute to each and every one of y'all who listening wherever you at. And let's like and share this video. The brother always bring powerful information that not only educates the people, but defends the gospel. So let's get the likes up. Let's get the shares up.
Somebody said, "Parlez-vous français, BK?" I tried, man. I'm trying. I tried, man. So I figure I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, and if you're willing, my sister Michelle Turns just put the link in the chat. Go over and subscribe to my channel.
Shout out to Michelle Bodega Ladies in the building, aka the Dora Milaje. You know what I mean? So
yes, sir.
All right, so here we go.
Themselves. Some of those statues that had found themselves there were destroyed, but the name of that area remains. And so we see the echo of us in the way that Mary is depicted, holding a Jesus like this. This image is us type. Us is the archetype. She's the us type. So I want you to understand that those people that began to depict the Holy Family in Europe were drawing on the imagery of Ast, but it's not just imagery. The story of Ast is one that comes from the story. The story of Mary is one that comes from the story of Ast. In fact, Mary was also known as the Mer-E, the doubly beloved one. As you look here, you're going to see that there are many statues that.
All right. So, DMG. So,
Zeitgeist
Mary
scholarship.
So Mary. Well, yeah, right. So Mary being depicted with the child Jesus is a direct, right, plagiarism of Ast. Did you hold on to that when you was there?
Again, when I was uneducated, I did.
Wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. Now, but again, if I could pat myself on the back,
sure.
My uneducated period didn't last long.
This is true. This is true. I bear witness to that. You know, I definitely bear witness to that.
I appreciate it.
So he says, right? I want you to understand that these people that began to depict the Holy Family in Europe were drawing on the imagery of Ast. But it's not just imagery. The story of Ast is one that comes from the story. Well, he says, well, it comes from the story of Ast. In fact, Mary is also known as Marie. So he's saying that this is being, derived from ancient Kemet, that the Europeans, the Tamu, as he likes to call them, right? They are depicting this because it comes from there. That they're trying to gain some sort of intellectual foothold by imitating Ast, right? So let's go with this argument of his, right? Because if that's what's happening, right, then, well, before I even get to that, let's look at, this is one of the earliest depictions, right, of Ast. You find this at the National Archaeological Museum, collection of Egyptian antiquities, right? And it tells you the date, 1070 to 712 BC, right? This is one of the most earliest, well-preserved statuettes, right? Okay. So now, if Mary's being derived from this, then what do we do with this situation? All right, because this is a clay figurine of Kototropos, also found at the National Archaeological Museum collection of prehistoric antiquities. This was found in Greece. And what's the date here they have for it, DMG?
4800 to 4500 BC.
So if we follow Jabari's argument, then we must conclude that the ancient Egyptians plagiarized and copied from the Greeks.
But I have I'm Mr. Common Sense, BK.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to depicting mothers and children, why would it even be uncommon to show a woman holding a child?
Right.
Like that would just be a common thing across whatever belief system, art style, whatever. As long as it been pregnant women and people been depicting pictures, carving statues or whatever, right, you would probably have a woman holding a child.
Right. Ancient Egypt does not hold the copyright to breastfeeding. Right? All women throughout the world did this.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, why is this a zeitgeist scholarship, bro?
But again, right? It's using this to create this narrative to disparage people from really believing that Christianity is what it says it is. You know, it's just a sloppy, copy sketch of the actual, which is found in Egypt. Well, there's a problem with this because according to his argument, then Egypt and ours is a sloppy, plagiarized copy of what we find in Greece.
Oh man, BK, you making me wish I would have streamed this to my channel so I could hit the bomb sound.
It's not Greece though. It's not just Greece. So,
but wait, there's more.
We have this lizard-headed nude woman nursing a child from in Iraq. And what's the date here?
4000 BCE. Where did you say it was, by the way?
Iraq. Ancient
Who from
Iraq.
No, I was asking, ain't it somebody pretty prominent in the Bible that's from
Abraham.
Well,
actually, fun fact, there's two of the Chaldees.
Okay.
Abraham is the one that's from ancient Anatolia, which we now call Turkey today.
Gotcha. Right? Okay.
But it's still ancient and Iraq. This predates the statuette of Aset by some time. So
maybe Kemet got it from
Iraq, from
Greece got it from and
got it from Greece.
Got it from Greece,
and Egypt got it from
Egypt got it from
If we're going to go with his arguments,
oh man!
But you see how absurd it becomes when you walk out that argument to its logical conclusion, because now you're in trouble.
Absolutely, yeah. BK, why you got to? I don't want to be a part of this no more. You got to stop this, man. You got to stop this.
Now, again, this doesn't take away from the grandeur and the importance of Kemet, though. You don't have to do all this to show how amazing that land is. It is amazing. It was a superpower for thousands of years.
Hold on, BK. Time out. Michelle got to be stopped, man. She has to be stopped. You like laptops? Egypt. You like tweezers? Egypt. Jordan 11s in all colorways? Egypt. Timberlands? And Jordans and Timberlands is my thing. I salute to Kemet if that's the case. But she needs to be stopped.
But again, right? But again, she's showcasing the absurdity of this kind of argumentation. Like, there's no need. There is no need for you to do that to show how amazing Egypt is. Look, Christian, urban apologist, is letting you know Kemet is amazing. Listen, Kemet got Israel out of trouble in the Bible, right? Taharka came through when we had beef and we couldn't. Taharka came through and looked out for Israel. Egypt.
That's fact. Listen, Egypt is so amazing that the Coptic Christians preserved its amazing language so that the people in the conscious community that read it can have it today.
See, now DMG said that, not me, y'all. So don't don't come for me for that.
I just want to know if you detect any lies, though.
No, sir. None. But again, you don't have to do this. It's like, listen, we know, and as Black and brown people, we can take pride in the amazing contributions that ancient Kemet. That's why we all got to bang on these ancient aliens, because that joint is racist, bro.
Exactly.
Martians made the pyramids, not the Black people. Come on now.
Too many people watching Stargate.
You know what I mean? So it's like, we all need to bang on that, whether we're urban apologists or conscious community. We both gonna be like, nah, fam. Like, we both have to go, light up Billy Carson on that nonsense. You know what I mean? It's like, come on now. So yeah, get D.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think I still think Kemet is one of the most amazing ancient civilizations there is. I think that we got to take a deeper look at Kush or Nubia, and other places in Africa as well, particularly in West Africa. But I think Kemet is amazing. I think it can remain amazing without having to give it credit for everything.
Everything, bro. Cheerios, ancient Kemet. First cereals. You know what I mean? Like everything.
It's crazy.
So now watch this. So if we're gonna give credit to everything, so I guess the first time someone got robbed, Egypt, right?
Right.
The first time somebody, took your land away from someone else, Egypt, right? You see how crazy that sounds?
Yeah, but BK, you can't do that because it's only the good things. Like, I see. I've had conversations with people about quote unquote slavery in the Bible, but don't nobody want to talk about slavery in Kemet.
And there was a bunch of it, bro.
So it's like only if it's good. Kemet is Wakanda, bro.
Yeah, the way it's framed, yeah. You know
what I mean? Yeah. It's Wakanda. Nothing bad happened in Kemet. It's only the greatest innovations, the greatest spiritual tradition, the greatest of everything. Even though they got conquered, I don't know how many times. If it was, and again, I'm not casting any aspersions on ancient Egypt. Like I said, I got much love and admiration for it as a civilization, society, the whole demonstration. But when we start talking about the greatness thereof, we gotta kind of pump the brakes just a little bit.
Right. And again, it doesn't take away from the greatness that is Kemet. Listen, Kemet does play a part in Christianity. When we talk about the Desert Fathers, right? And a lot of the first, incursion, if you will, of the gospel was spearheaded by the ancient Egyptians. When they got the gospel, they grabbed it up like, oh, this is amazing. So it's like, again, it's
and it's an important place within the biblical narrative.
100%, 110%, bro. So it's like, so again, nobody is anti-Kemet. We're anti you coming against the gospel, and you're using Kemet. Poor Kemet. Kemet didn't do nothing to nobody.
Right.
And you want to use that as a foil to dissuade people from being one with Yahweh. Where historically, when the Cometians got the gospel, they grabbed that joint up quick. Your ancestors. I like this argument you make, DMG, about how we need to put respect on the ancestors' name. And usually you're referring to the enslaved ancestors of America. Well, the same thing with Kemet.
Yeah, that's
respect them, because when they got so I guess they're dumb, right? Because when they got the gospel, they were stupid. Right?
The narrative is they were conquered, and this is what's crazy about it. So we know when the gospel first started, there was no conquering anybody. You know what I mean? They didn't have.
They didn't have no armies. They had nothing.
Yeah. So the only thing they could do was conquer your heart when you heard the gospel. And again, when we look at the ancient Kemetic people, of all the people who the ancient Christians encountered, that was probably their easiest sell job. And I say that because you have a sword. And I'm going off of what my Kemetic brothers and sisters say about Asar and Haru, but we'll focus on the Asar. I don't have to. Can you imagine hearing the gospel and then just rationalizing in your mind? I don't have to have my heart weighed against a feather. I don't have to go through all these trials and tribulations trying to cast spells and trick the deities into riding with me. I just believe. And the rest of the hardest thing that would be possible to do, Christ already did it for me. Oh yeah, I'm with this.
And I get a new name and I get a crown, bro. Because
I'm with this.
You know what I mean? Because prior to the end of the first kingdom, the only person that really was able to get through to Duat was the Nasut Bidi.
Right.
And he was the only one that had the information. Now, when that first king dynasty fell, that information started to disseminate throughout the different nomes in ancient Kemet. But it was never meant for the common folk, this information. But you know what I mean? But now, through the gospel, we all can be the Nasut Bidi with Christ.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. And that was literally what they were told. And so, like I said, if you weighing it out, you like, hold up. Yeah, I think because they understood the concept of resurrection and things of this nature. So, like I said, I think this was probably their easiest sell. And I think that's why the Coptic Church took off like it did. And again, if it weren't for the Coptic Church, the very metal nature that these individuals read and use to try to cast aspersions on Christianity, you wouldn't even have it without Christianity.
Facts. No, 100%, bro, 100%. So with that, man, I want to give you the final word. Please do some shameless plugs. You know, what can we expect from Paradigm Shift in the immediate future, sir?
You can expect the infamous perspective with me and a few different co-hosts. We'll be talking about politics, religion, relationships, etc. We'll be trying to drop that every Sunday, not this Sunday coming up, but the Sunday after. We got a lot of debates coming up. If you follow me, then you know I have an adjacent platform, Worldview Wars, Debate League, where we get on and we talk our worldviews, and we have fact fights, as I like to call them. So we got a lot of big debates coming up on that platform. So look forward to that. And of course, I'll be dropping as much urban apologetic content as I can. I'm going to be talking about possibly tomorrow, but more than likely Sunday, I'll be going live talking about why Christianity is not part and parcel to white supremacy, because we gotta get rid of that. That's something that a lot of people are misguided about, and all it takes is a little bit of reading. Again, BK mentioned this earlier. BK mentioned this earlier. I really take offense to people not putting respect on our ancestors' name. And our ancestors were not weak. They weren't soft. They weren't stupid. They made a conscious decision to come to Christ. Nobody forced Christ on them, because, truth be told, the enslaver didn't even want them to be Christian. The enslaver had a conflated, distorted version of Christianity that nobody who, being honest, would even consider to be Christianity. But before I go on a diatribe like BK know I will, I'm going to stop right there. When I go on a diatribe, I don't want to...
You preaching, bro. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, we got to stop with the lies. So I'm going to be going over that. And yeah, man, y'all please tune in, like, share, and subscribe, and definitely support my brother BK.
And I also will be jumping over Paradigm to do some presentations as well. So
yeah, and hopefully we'll be getting my man, Mr. Phil Fox, to come on in the near future, and
absolutely,
some urban apologists who y'all are definitely familiar with. So stay tuned.
That's right. So with that being said, it's DMG and BK signing off. Peace.